Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be providing a longer term market update for Theta token. I want to discuss this most recent recapture and reclaim of the range lows right around 96, 97 cents, which happens to be the lows from back here in the summer of 2022. That was a level that we saw act as support on the major capitulation in May, and then we bounced off that level a few more times throughout June up until September, and then eventually we did get that breakdown in November. And if I zoom in here, you can see that we actually flipped that level into resistance on this weekly chart with this candle in the end of November coming up, rejecting off of this, coming back down to form a lower low. Now, in theory, this was a pretty bearish signal because we had a level of defined support with 3 retests flip right into resistance, and it looked like a continuation of that longer term bear market. But when we had the reclaim of that level, it made this look like a big fake out and a big deviation, because we didn't really see the price except under this region of support. We didn't see any follow through or continuation to the downside. And in fact, the bears were unable to flip this level into resistance on that second attempt. And when a pattern is in theory bearish, but doesn't actually see any bearish continuation, it actually becomes a very bullish sign because it shows that weakness, that relative weakness to the downside, and that momentum again starting to reverse, giving us a little bit more confidence on this weekly chart, especially with the reclaim of the 20 and 21 weekly moving averages as well. And that has also been a strong level of resistance. We've seen these moving averages act as a region of supply during this entire bear market, with the first breakdown right here in November of 2021, right when Bitcoin had its all-time high around $69,000. We broke right under this and then flipped it into resistance. The first rejection right here in December of 2021, continuing lower, forming lower lows, rejecting off of it again in April of 2022, another retest in August, and then finally this move in October, the last rejection that we saw before this breakout that we had over the last few weeks. And if I zoom into the last few weeks, you can see that we have a few candle bodies fully above both of the moving averages, a few weekly closes. So that's overall a very positive sign. And at this stage, I really just want to see this continue to hold as support. I want to see either Theta continue to rally or just consolidate in this zone. And consolidating would be actually a much better look in the longer term direction because we're coming off the back of a pretty significant rally from these lows, up around 70%. So that's naturally where you would expect the rally to start to cool down. If we do have some consolidation, again, that would be just a more bullish sign that we might be starting to gear up for another leg up. And again, holding above these as support is exactly what I want to see for this longer term trend. As long as we remain above both the weekly moving averages as well as this previous zone of resistance at 96, 97 cents, then I think that the longer term direction is still back to the upside. But that does definitely get invalidated if we do have a weekly close coming back under both of these levels. So for example, this is the risk, this is the defined move where it would no longer look bullish. And I think that this would just represent a fake out to the upside, where if we're coming back below both of these levels, that becomes a very bearish signal. And I would just look for a resumption and a continuation of this longer term bear market. So on the Theta BTC ratio, we have the first lows right here back in May of 2022, right around 385 Satoshis. And what's very positive about this chart is the fact that Theta has not made a lower low yet. And we're really starting to see that progression to the downside slow down here. Again, not having a lower low in over 8 months. So that's a very positive sign. And that is something that we rarely ever see within bear markets. So again, just adding to that confluence and that suggestion that we might have a reversal to this longer term downtrend, not necessarily meaning that we have to immediately enter a major bull run, but that could just mean that maybe we have some sideways and choppy price action into the next several months where potentially we form some sort of longer term base and start to round off, which is actually something that we saw within the last bear market. If I zoom all the way out, you can see a pretty similar thing. We had a pretty significant decline right here in 2019, accumulating, going sideways for a number of months, and then eventually we start to move back to the upside. So that's something that we could see. We could have a longer term zone of accumulation. Just make sure to pay attention to that. Given that we do have the potential for a bottom in place, that does not necessarily mean that we just have to shoot up back up to all-time highs in the next few weeks. So it's important to remain grounded and again, realize what this chart is actually representing. It is showing us how Theta is performing with respect to Bitcoin. So ending this bear market decline could just mean that Theta is no longer significantly underperforming Bitcoin, and we might have that risk working in our favor to the upside, which is exactly what I like to see within altcoins. Not entirely confirmed yet. We could obviously have one final leg down, but as long as we're holding it and remaining above the support at 385 Satoshis, I think this looks like it could have some sort of longer term reversal, potentially a higher low somewhere in this region where we might start to look for maybe a new uptrend, or again, that consolidation and sideways price action, really just changing the dynamic of this bear market. So I hope you guys did enjoy the content and the analysis. By the way, make sure to check out my Twitter page. I will leave a link to that in the description below. Fairly active over there with crypto content as well. As always, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.